to the very first book of the Bible, the very first chapter, and the very first verse. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In 4 days, we're going to celebrate a new beginning. We're going to celebrate going from the year 2025 to the year 2026. What's that going to do? The year 2026 is going to add a year to each of our lives. In my life, it'll be a milestone. Turning 70 years old. I hadn't thought about that really all that much till a friend of mine sent me a text that said, hey, it's going to be a new year. We're going to be 70. And I thought, yeah, that's right. There's not going to be a 6 in front of my age anymore. There's going to go up to a 7, a new decade, a new life, a new time in life. But I thought about new beginnings. The book of Genesis is about new beginnings. In fact, that's what the name Genesis means, is the beginning. And so I thought about doing a lesson today, since it's the last Sunday in December 2025, about looking forward to a new beginning. But you know, as I was looking through it and thinking about what I could preach on, I thought you can't do it in one lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to end 2025 looking forward to the new beginning. But in 2026, the first 2 lessons are going to be continuations of the new beginnings. A new beginning for you and I. The opportunities that you and I are going to have as we enter into a new year. The obligations that you and I are going to have as we enter into a new year. As we look at many new beginnings that we find in the Bible. This lesson will be just about the book of Genesis, the new beginnings that we find here. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. If God created it, then there was nothing here to start with. Have you ever thought about that? Nothing here. Think of somebody building a new home. I've got my water right there. A friend of mine told me many years ago, and I tried to do it. You take a big sip of water before you speak, you're not supposed to cough. I took one right before I got up here, but I coughed anyway. There was nothing here, like somebody building a new house. There's a piece of land with nothing on it. But over time, the builders come in. They level the dirt. They dig a foundation. They lay the foundation. And they put the wood and the wiring, the shingles, put it all on the house. And maybe cover the house with siding or brick. And step by step, that house takes form. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He created everything. Everything that we have on the earth today, He created in 6 days. Separated light from darkness, land from the water. He created the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, the fish of the sea. He created the trees, the flowers, the shrubs, and all that we have on it today. And who did He do it for? He did it for Adam and Eve, didn't He? The first two people that He was going to create. He created Adam and had all of mankind come through in front of Adam. And Adam gave them a name. And as the last one came by, God thought, He said, I've made everything for man, but I haven't made somebody who would be capable of relating to a man. And we all know that we need people around us in life, don't we? And we need good people around us in life. So God caused the deep sleep to come over Adam. And from the side of Adam, He took a rib. And out of that rib, He created woman. He created Eve to be a helpmate for man. Somebody to help man as he went through life. There's a TV show, I don't know if it's still airing, more segments or what. It was called Alone. And they would take people out and they would put them all by themselves in different spots. And they had to fend for themselves. They had to get their own water. They had to get their own food. They had to take care of themselves. Now, how boring would that be? Some people, I guess, have exciting lives or exciting imaginations, and they can handle being alone. I'm a dull person because I can't stand being by myself, I guess. I want people around me. I need people around me, like most of us do, to talk to relate to. And God saw that need for Adam. In His creation, He created Eve. He created that beautiful garden, the Garden of Eden. People ask me where I think the Garden of Eden is. I believe God took it up and put it in heaven. And we'll all be able to see it one day if we live our lives according to God's Word and live according to His will. That beautiful garden and placed man in. He said, you have complete control over all of it. You take care of it. I provided everything that you need to have food for yourselves. Eat of any of the trees, any of the fruits that's in the garden, except for this one tree that He pointed out, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I don't know how long Adam and Eve were in the garden before the serpent came. We know who the serpent was, don't we? It was the devil. And he came to Eve to visit Eve. He says, see that fruit up there? The one that God told you not to eat of? He don't want you to eat of it because if you eat of it, you're going to be as smart as him, as wise as him. You're not really going to die. And what did Eve believe? He believed a lie. She believed a lie. And there was another new beginning, wasn't it? The very first lie that was ever told, we have a record of it in God's Word. But that lie led to another new beginning because Eve ate of that fruit, gave it to Adam, and Adam ate of the fruit. Then the blame game started. Well, it was the serpent's fault. Well, it was my wife's fault. You know, it's never our fault, is it? But because they went against the commands of God, in the 3rd chapter of the book of Genesis, they were kicked out of the garden. Starting in verse 14. The Lord God said to the serpent, because you have done this, cursed are you from above all the livestock and above all the beasts of the field. On your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. To the woman he said, I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be contrary to your husband, but he shall rule over you. And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground, because you, in pain, you shall eat it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat of the plants of the field. And by the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. And Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden to go through and into what we would call today the real world. What did it look like outside the garden? I guarantee it wasn't beautiful. There were still trees and flowers and bushes and all that. That was all part of creation. But there was a change. Now, instead of man just having to take care of everything, they had to start from what? The beginning. To plow the fields, to plant the seed, to wait for it to grow, so that they would be able to eat of it. A new beginning in the real world. A new beginning that led to murder. The story of Cain and Abel. Go again, why did Cain kill Abel? Because God accepted Abel's offering, but did not accept Cain's offering. Because he did not do as God had told him. A new beginning in that world. But then in chapter 6, God looks upon the world. Again, I don't know how much time has passed. But time has passed. And God looks down and he sees what he has created. He's not happy with it. He says, every thought of man is evil. Does that ring a bell with us today? Maybe not every thought of man today is evil, but a majority of men think evil today. And unfortunately, even in our lives, I believe sometimes we think evil. But God looked down and he found Noah and his family. And he thought, I'm going to destroy this world. This world that I created, I'm going to destroy. But I'm going to keep Noah and his family to be here to start it again. And we know the story of Noah and the ark, don't we? Now, Noah and his son built that large ark, big enough for them to survive in for a year, but even more than that, room for at least 2 of every animals to live also, and some to eat, some food to eat. I haven't seen the boat in person that they built in Kentucky that's supposed to be a replica of the ark. But just from pictures of it, you can see how huge it is. When you look at the people down at the bottom of the ark that they built, how huge that thing was. And Noah and his sons did it how? Without any kind of power tools. They did it all by hand. Horace, how would you like to cut all that wood? Years and years and years and years of preparing. The ark is finished. The collection of the animals are finished. And they're all taken into the ark. Noah and his family go into the ark, and who closes the door behind them? God does. Where are they going? They're going on a trip. Many of us have taken trips like this. Maybe not in a flood, but we have taken trips like this where we pick up from one place and go to another place. It's hard to leave, isn't it? But there's going to be a new beginning. At 8 years old, moving from Cisco, Texas to Long Island, New York, I just knew I would never find another friend like Dirk George or Paul Joplin. But you know what I did? Robert Lancerota. It took me 3 years to learn how to say his name. Robert Lancerota and Tony Renzulli. They were there to help. And help me go through my high school days. But it was still tough to leave. Noah and his family didn't know where they would end up. Didn't know what it would be like. But you know, we read in the Bible about the flood. And about the earthquakes that happen, about the water that comes up from underneath the dry land. And the rain that pours down for 40 days and 40 nights. I know what it's like to look outside and watch it rain for 4 days and 4 nights. Continually hard. And we all know what this area looked like after Harvey, don't we? With many of the houses flooded. Many of the people that lost everything. Just imagine had it kept on going for another 36 days. how bad it would have been. But finally, the rain stopped. Noah would send a dove out occasionally to see if the world was drying out. One came back with a twig one time. The next one he sent out never came back. And he was able to look out. He could see the dry land. And what did they have? They had another new beginning, didn't they? Another chance to get it right. God put a rainbow in the sky. He said, I'm going to make a covenant with you. Anytime you see this rainbow, and this goes for us today, that rainbow stands for, I will never destroy the world by water again. And that's all that it stands for. Today, when I look in the sky and see a rainbow, I still remember that covenant that God made with mankind. He'll never destroy it again. Noah and his family had a new beginning. Had a new beginning. We can go over to the 11th chapter of the book of Genesis, to the Tower of Babel. People got so prideful, thinking so much of themselves, they said, we want to build a tower and we want to build it all the way to God. And that way we will be equal with God. They started building that tower. Because of their pride, because of their egos, and what they wanted to be known as. God had another new beginning in store. And that was a change of languages. It made many different languages at that time. I don't know what the original language was that they talked. It might have been Telugu. I don't know what it was. But English came out of that. And everyone that was talking to each other, some people you could understand and some people you couldn't. And so all the people that could understand each other got into groups and they all went away because they couldn't work as one any longer on that tower. A new beginning. A new beginning with languages. In the 17th chapter of the book of Genesis, another new beginning takes place. And this beginning is going to take a while. This beginning is a beginning that God makes, deal that God makes with Abraham. He says, hey, Abram, he was Abram at the time, he later changed his name to Abraham. Abram, I want you to go to a place that I will show you. Go home, pack up everything, and I'll lead you to where I want you to go. Abram did what he was told. Went home and told Sarah, wouldn't you have liked to have been a fly on the wall when Abram told Sarah what was going to happen? Well, we don't know what the schools are going to be like. We don't know what the store situation is going to be like. It don't matter. God's sending us there. A beginning of God's people. Abraham and Sarah, Isaac would be born. And that promise is passed down to Isaac. And then passed down to Jacob. And there's a long period of time where it talks about this in the Bible. And how it was always people who feared God. People who wanted to live for God. Because you see, Adam and Eve had a new beginning. Why? Because they sinned. They were kicked out of the garden. Then mankind became so evil in their thoughts and their deeds that God destroyed the world again for a new beginning to happen with Noah. And then a new beginning with languages. And now another promise with a longer time period that ended with Joseph in Egypt. And because of the famine of the land, and because of what Joseph's brothers had done in selling him to the Egyptians, and because God was with him, and he was put in charge of all the grain because of the 7 years of plenty that they were going to have, and then the 7 years of nothing, a famine. And because he knew this, he was able to store up what they needed. And Joseph's brothers and their father came to Egypt to get that grain. And all of God's people came with him into that land. And in that land they became great in number. Great in number. And we read then of another new beginning that we'll start with next week. The great beginning of the trek from Israel to the Promised Land. But one thing I want us to watch and be looking at in all this is when things were good and people were following God, everything was wonderful and great, and God made them prosper. But then they got the big head. They said, look how great I am. And when they got that way, what happened? They fell. They fell. God don't use the prideful. God uses the humble, who knows where everything comes from, who has faith in Him, and who wants to live for Him. And we're going to look at that journey to the new beginning into the Promised Land next week. And then we're going to look what happened in the Promised Land. And the new beginnings that happened in it. And then in 2 weeks, Lord willing, we're still all here. It'll be the new era that we're in today. And the wonderful new beginning that you and I have in Christianity. Yes, we're going to have a new beginning this coming Thursday. I'm so excited for Thursday to get here that I'll probably be in bed at 9 o'clock Wednesday night. Sheila won't be, but I will be. And I'll be sound asleep when the new year comes in, unless somehow I wake up around that time. But I'll open my eyes and we'll be in a new year. And I pray for a healthier new year this coming year than I've had the past couple of years. But I pray for a healthier year spiritually for all of us. And I pray for growth. I'm not going to pray that we fill up the building. I'm going to pray for growth. Is it worth it if we have one new growth? Yes. But wouldn't it be nice to have 5 or 6 or 8 or 10? We're going to look at that new beginning we have. That's a wonderful opportunity for us to have this growth. I do look forward to 2026. Remember, everyone, we're going to have Bible class Tuesday again this week at 6 o'clock. Midweek Bible study. So if you can be here for that. We always want to offer an invitation when we come together. We're going to do so at this time. If anyone needs to respond, do so as we stand and as we sing.